As we get started, if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly Malone, and I'm the Chief Customer Officer here at Tactile, and I will be your host for the majority of the presentation today, with the exception of the expert panelists. So with that, let me go ahead and start going through the presentation we've prepared here. So what's the agenda today? We'll start with some of the reasons as to why you would want to use Manifest for iPad OS. I am also planning to demonstrate the application live, or barring technical difficulties, I might pull up some videos I recorded just prior to the session if need be, but should have that working just fine in a live mode. I'm going to go over some tips and tricks, kind of best practices that we've found with iPad, and then we'll kind of have a open section where we can have a Q&A with our expert panel. We have some great panelists on board today. So I introduced myself. We also have Maureen Miller, product manager for Manifest 3D and Manifest for iPad OS. We have Andrea Marks, and I also believe we have John Tomazuk, our CTO, on the line to answer questions as well. Before we continue, I'm going to go ahead and play a quick video here of iPad, Manifest for iPad in use with, and some of the key features and capabilities. So let me start that.
Manifest on iPad enables engineers and technicians to spend more time on shop floors and in the field where their expertise is needed. Manifest on iPad supports all the core features of the digital augmentation platform. Easily capture the knowledge of your experts by digitizing procedures and creating step-by-step instructions. Augment steps of a procedure by capturing photos and videos. Get work and training done more quickly, consistently, and accurately. Workers perform jobs following step-by-step procedures, enabling flawless workflows. Manifest Connect lets workers video chat, share See What I See video, and be directed by experts in remote locations. Manifest enables supervisors to manage and analyze completed job procedures, performance, evidence, and faults. Running on iPad, Android, AR headsets, and ruggedized wearables, Manifest is ready for the job on the right device.
All right, so quick overview of iPad there, Manifest for iPad. So why iPad, and what are the reasons to run Manifest on iPad? So let's start with the fact that last year Apple revealed that they had sold over 500 million iPads since 2010. So that's a great reason. I mean, this is a device that is highly available. It's well known and understood by IT departments, and it's likely already compliant with IT security requirements at most organizations. So it's an easy way to really get things started in AR and with AR work instructions. The device is durable. It has many accessories, including cases for rugged and caustic environments. It can be used outdoors, so that's a great benefit. The iPad also can be outfitted with LTE or 5G built in, and it has built-in GPS. So this is something that you really don't find in the head-mounted devices yet. And so the iPad has some great capabilities from that perspective. It's also really versatile. As I mentioned, there are a lot of accessories. One accessory you could use is like a GoPro camera. You also have things like tripods and things that you can kind of adapt and work with the iPad for capturing both first-person and third-person videos and pictures while you're authoring. The iPad also has the ability to easily access stored content, photo libraries. You can create content on the fly, and it has built-in editing tools as well. So a lot of ability to edit a video, trim it, add ink and markers and text over the top of pictures and videos just right on the device. Specifically for Manifest, one of the key benefits we see is that there's immediate acceptance within organizations for Manifest running on an iPad. So there's not a lot of review or requirements to have to go through to introduce a new device, which tends to be the case many times with the head-mounted devices. And so it takes a little longer to get a deployment underway. So it's really a great way for an organization to get started with AR work instructions and remote assist, while also exploring HMDs, but they can actually, perhaps get further into production with iPad to begin with. It's a great standalone platform. You can basically do everything you can do in an HMD, you can do on the iPad for Manifest, but it's also an awesome companion. HMDs are great for hands-free. And perhaps it's a little more natural to do things like 3D placement and work in a 3D environment with a headset. But the iPad actually has those capabilities as well. ARKit is a really robust augmented reality and spatial computing platform, and I'll show you some of those capabilities here in a moment. Finally, one of the things I love about the Manifest for iPad is I can access the web app or through Safari and have the native Manifest application running at the same time and on the same device. And so it's really easy to switch between the two. So if I need to add a document to an asset class, for instance, it's very quick and easy to flip over to the web app, associate my document, and then have it right there in the on-device application or the native device application for the device to access. So that's a pretty powerful combination because everything I need to author is all on one device to be able to quickly create content. And so it just provides a lot of flexibility there. So what are some of the optimal use cases? Let's start with the fact that, as I mentioned, Manifest for iPad can perform all the major functions of Manifest. So anything you can do with Manifest on an HMD can really be done on the iPad. It has about 98% of the functionality that Manifest for HoloLens or Manifest for Magic Leap has. Clearly, it's just not hands-free. It is ideal to have AR mode on iPad kind of when needed. So rather than always being in AR mode, it's built a little differently. I mean, obviously when you're in a head-mounted device, you're always in AR mode, but with the iPad, you can actually go through work procedures. You can view enhanced content like videos and pictures, bookmarks, without ever really needing to go into AR. You can get a lot done. And then when you need access to AR, when you want to see those spatially placed markers and anchors and what have you, then it's available to you. All that said, there are some optimal use cases, let's say, that we believe the iPad is really well suited for. One is inspection, audit, preventative checks. So this is something that typically doesn't require the use of both hands to work on something, but you can actually check things with the device. You can check faults. So Manifest for iPad has the full fault reporting capability. You can add evidence, pictures, videos, all the other different evidence types that we support. So that's really one of the key use cases. We also think on-the-fly training, so really like refreshing on the fly, either on the plant floor or out in the field, is another great use case. So if you don't, if you just need a quick refresher, don't need to really don a headset, you can just pull up the iPad, pull up a template or job, quickly preview, go through the steps and get a quick refresher and then proceed with that job. That said, it's also a great tool for full training in a classroom or doing offsite training. And really, because of the AR capabilities, you can do fairly immersive training with the device as well. So it can be a lower cost option for even doing, full on AR training. Finally, one of the great capabilities is the live remote assist through Manifest Connect. And the iPad is actually one of the platforms that we also enable the Manifest Direct capabilities. This is where an expert can interact with the environment of a remote operator. So the ability to provide wayfinding guidance or interacting with that environment. So those controls that allow them to draw ink within the space of an operator, whether that operator's on a head-mounted device or another device that Manifest supports, the expert can actually use the iPad in lieu of or in addition to a browser to provide that Manifest Direct capability. It's really a great platform for supervisors because we have access, nice layout for the job board. Again, quick and easy, open up the application to view the status of jobs and things at a particular location. That's all built into the iPad. So it's great mobile platform for supervisors as well. So with that, let me get set up here to do a live demonstration. I'm using Reflector 4 to mirror my device. So let me see if I can get that on this screen we're sharing here. All right, and let me connect. And if this doesn't work, then I have some videos I recorded this morning, but it looks like we're getting that connected. Let's make sure it comes up on the right screen. Oh, wrong screen. Let's move this over. There we go. All right. So let me get my Manifest launched from scratch here. And I'll go ahead and log in. Same login as Manifest, same capabilities as logging into the browser or on a device. Got my warning message there. So when you first come in, you'll see here, pretty familiar concepts that you would see on any platform that Manifest supports. So I'll start by pointing out the functions across the bottom here. So on the left, you'll see that we're on the asset management is highlighted. So asset management, that's if we want to go in from the view of equipment, but we can actually access content in a number of different ways. You can see that I can also go to the job board and access jobs there. I'll come back to that in a moment. I can go directly into AR mode and I can basically use that to scan a QR code and immediately get access to content associated with a particular asset. I can also go by location. So if I want to go to, let's say, Demoland, which is actually here at our headquarters, then you can see I can get a quick view of the total number of jobs, the status of those jobs, how many maintenance hours have been performed there, any alerts that we have on any IoT sensors at that location. So again, for the supervisory mode that I mentioned, really quick and easy. I can also access Manifest Connect, and here's where I can dial out to any remote operators, if you will. So let's take a look at, there are a number of different ways. I'm going to start by performing a job, and there are a number of different ways to access a job. The first one is for people who are already familiar with Manifest. They may want to go through from the asset perspective. And so in this case, there are a couple different ways that they can access an asset class or an asset. You can start by typing in the search menu here and filtering. So let's say that I wanted to find a particular pump, and I have my demo PVC pump here. I also, you'll notice there's a little QR code scan button there just in the search bar. So if you wanted to locate that asset by scanning the QR code associated with it, you could just click that button, scan the QR code, and it would pull that asset up. In this case, I'm going to work with this asset serial number that I have right here. And now I want to draw your attention to the upper right area. So this is effectively where I can get access to all of the data associated at the asset level. So I'll start with job history, which is the first window here. And you can see I can view all the job history for this particular asset. I can also filter for only my jobs. So this will show me all of the closed out jobs that have been completed. I can also then go to the job view and I can see any existing jobs that exist, jobs that have already been assigned to me. I don't have any currently. And I can also use this to add a new job. I'll come back to that in a moment. If the asset has meters, then I can view those meters here as well. So in this case, this pump asset has some meters, and I even see there's one with an alert because the RPMs are too high or too low, they're out of spec. Next are my templates. So these are the procedures associated to that asset. I'll come back to those in a moment. If there's a URL linked to that asset, then I could click that www, and it will take me to the website for that particular asset that's linked. I can also view any 3D model content here by clicking the 3D button. So you can see there is a digital twin of this particular asset. And finally, any associated documents. So here I have the data book for this particular asset that I can scroll through and view as well. So that's all the asset information, but how do I then perform a job against this? So I'll go to my jobs here and I can come in and easily add a job if I want to. You'll notice that there are some open jobs that I could assign to myself, but I'll go ahead and use the iPad to also create a new job. So I'll choose the template that I want to use, which I'm going to do turn the valve handle here, and I'll set the priority. Let's say it's a low priority, and I'll add that. And now that job is created, and then you'll see there's a new job. It's green because I said it was low priority, and now I can select that job, and I can actually preview my job right here. So it's just a simple 4-step job. You'll see that without even starting the job, I can quickly see what the steps are. I can even preview any of the associated content, like the bookmark in the document, or text or video notes associated to any step. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and perform the job because I want there to be a record of me performing it. So I'll go ahead and assign that to myself. And then you'll notice at the bottom, I have the choice. I can launch the job in AR mode, or I can just start the job with the tablet in hand and not really bother with AR until I need it. So I'm going to do that to start with. So I will start the job. There is a autoplay note right away that's pulling up that bookmark that we saw in that first step. So again, all those autoplay capabilities are available on the iPad as they would be in the HMD as well. So, so the first step is to switch it off. I'm going to go ahead and say, cool, I completed that step. I'll hit complete. Next, it wants me to check the pressure. I could easily go and look at a gauge on the device itself, on the piece of equipment. I could also, if I have IoT integration, I could go to my meters here and view the pressure as we just did. It's at 95 bar, as I remember. So actually, why don't I take this opportunity? I'm going to flag a fault. So I'll click fault, and then I can even come in and add some evidence. And you'll notice all my evidence types are available here. I'm going to go ahead and put a text note in, and I'm just going to say, 95 bar seems high. And I'll save that. And I've now associated that evidence to that step. And then I can complete that step and move on now to the turn valve step. So turn valve, there's a video there. I'll go ahead and watch that video. And so here we can see the video that was recorded with that step. And so I actually have the valve behind me here. So I can go ahead and turn that, and I can even add some evidence. So I can come in and take a picture of that. So let's do a photo note. I'll add that, use the camera, snap a picture of that valve handle, use that photo. And now that is associated to the job record. I can go ahead and complete that step. Last step is telling me to check the flow. I'll assume the flow is good and I'll hit complete. And now I have successfully completed that job. So that's completing a job. You'll see I didn't really use AR mode. I used the camera on the device and I just went through each of the steps and I accessed it from the asset itself. As mentioned, another way to access jobs is through the job board. And so if I go to the job board along the bottom here, you'll see I have the job board. Now I can look at all jobs, and you'll see there are a number of jobs that are open, not yet assigned. I have jobs that are assigned, and again, I can filter just by my jobs so that it just shows jobs that are already assigned to me in progress or that I've completed. I'm going to go to all jobs, and I'm going to pull up this procedure here called pedal removal and installation. So this is a procedure that was built for my Peloton on, or really is for any bicycle where you could remove the pedals and replace them. So the first thing is, if this is an open job, nobody's actually taken it. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it to myself. And now you'll see I have the ability to start the job. I can go through it just like I did before, but I'm going to launch this one in AR. So I'm going to click Launch Job in AR. And you'll notice that I have the ability to scan an existing QR code. So if I actually had my bike here with the QR on it, I could scan that, or I can virtually place the tag. And in this case, I don't have a bicycle here, so I'm going to use a digital twin for this example. So I'll place the tag. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the middle of the room here. And you can see that now I have a digital representation, digital twin of my Peloton. I can kind of manipulate that if I want to. It has me on step one here, what tools I need to perform this. I also have the photo of the tools that I'll need. Looks like I'm going to need a wrench, some lubricant, and a rag. And so I'll go ahead and start the job. Now, let's assume I have the tools. At this point, I'm just doing some training to see what to do since I don't have the actual asset here to work on. So I'll go ahead and complete step one. Now I have a choice note. And so the first step is asking me, is my asset tag properly aligned? Now, again, because I'm working with the virtual object, it doesn't really matter. But if this were the physical object, then I could actually use that step. If I went into it, if it wasn't aligned, then it would show me where to align that. In fact, I'll just go to that. I'll go to that sub job, and you'll see here, there's a photo note showing where the asset tag should be. In fact, there are a couple of photo notes. If I go to the second note here, you'll see that in this case, I took a picture, and on the iPad, I used the ability to edit that photo and highlight in with a red rectangle where that asset tag should be. So if I don't have the physical tag, I can place the virtual tag in the right place, or I know where the tag placement should be. So, okay, it's again, not super relevant for the digital twin, but the next couple steps are definitely there. So how do I remove the pedals on this? If I just go into that choice note, maybe the pedals are already off, so I could just go straight to install pedals, but I'm going to look at how to remove pedals. And so I'll go to that job, or that sub task, and you'll see here I have the leader lines that I would normally see as well on the head-mounted device, spatially anchored over the top of the digital twin. And so I have access to the right pedal here. I'll complete that step. Here's a helpful autoplay note telling me how to get good leverage when I want to pull that off. And there's also a video here I could watch, for example. So I'm not going to go through all these procedures, but
make sure it's fully engaged, but also think of your mechanical advantage. This is probably the worst position I could have picked. Very poor mechanical advantage. We have two levers here, the pedal wrench.
There we go. So need to make sure I get good mechanical advantage, and then it walks through the steps to go ahead and remove the pedal there by using the opposite crank arm on the other side as leverage. So, okay, we'll complete that. And then access the left pedal to perform the same step. Great. And then I could move on to the install pedals procedure as well. We'll go ahead and skip that for now. I think you get the idea. You'll see here on the left, I have the ability to toggle off the model and toggle it back on. There's also on the lower right here, the ability to reload the model. And if I need to reposition the model, I can unpin the tag and I could reposition that as shown here. So quite a bit of flexibility there in the AR mode. So that is performing a job from the job board. Now the other mode is just going straight into AR mode over the top of an existing piece of equipment. So I'll go ahead and click the AR mode button here. And I have an asset right here, a little familiar. I have my pump. I'll go ahead and scan the tag. And you'll see there that the tag has been scanned. And in the upper right here, I have a number of options. Because I am an author, I'll be able to author on this, and I'll show you that in the next demonstration. But I can also go to my jobs, and I can see any jobs that are currently available. So there's all jobs or any jobs that are assigned to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on turn the valve handle. And you'll see here that I have a leader line for that first step. So I'll go ahead and start this job. And so the first thing that comes up is that hook mark. Next, it's telling me to switch off, and I have the leader line and arrow kind of pointing to the switch on the asset. One neat thing on the left here is if your tag gets out of alignment, you can come in and click the realign tool, and you can scan that tag, and you can see how it will go ahead and realign it. And on the iPad, the align capabilities, depending on the device, it may not maintain its alignment as easily or as solid as, let's say, a head-mounted device does. And so that's why we've added the ability to use realign. And in large areas, we also have the alignment tag option so that you can add an alignment tag for improved alignment. So I'll go ahead and complete the first step. Next step is telling you to check the pressure. This displayed the meter. So you'll see here, there's the pressure meter telling me 95 bar. Great. So it can display that IoT meter if needed. I'll go ahead and complete that step. Now it's telling me to turn the valve. Again, I could watch a video. I think we saw this on the last example as well.
Engaged, but also think of your mechanical advantage. This is probably the worst position I could have picked. Very poor mechanical advantage. We have two levers here, the pedal wrench and the crank arm. Try the different positions and get those two.
So that's that's performing a job. And I'm going to show authoring in a moment, but I just want to kind of do a quick review on what we just went through there. So minimize this guy. So performing a job, I went through from the asset management capability. So again, you can search for an asset, or you can scan the asset, find the asset management, and you can initiate a job from there. Or perhaps a job has been assigned to you. And in that case, you can go through from the job board. So for folks who aren't familiar with the entire functionality of Manifest, they can use they can just go to the job board and see which jobs have been assigned and access them from there, or use AR mode, walk up to the piece of equipment and see what jobs are available from that piece of equipment based on utilizing scanning the QR code right there at the equipment. So a number of different paths to get to the job. So I want to show, my last demo here is to just show some of the authoring capabilities and authoring enhancements. So let me pull that up. I got to put this on the screen. All right, so authoring on the iPad is done from the AR mode. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the AR mode here. I'm going to go ahead and scan that QR. And now I'm going to go into author mode. And you can see here I have a number of templates that I could edit. Excuse me. Or I'll go ahead and add a new template. And I'm going to say this one's just going to be close. Let's say turn off and close. Okay. Note that I have the option here to use GPS. This is unique to the iPad, but because it does have GPS, excuse me, you can actually use the GPS location for performing a given step, and it records that so that, particularly if you're performing a sequence in a large geographical area, it will provide wayfinding guidance to the subsequent step. So by using GPS, you can enable that. Instead of just using the spatial understanding and the position of the markers. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm done. I can then click the Add Step button to add my first step. And so new empty step, I'll go ahead and click that. I'll give it a name. I'll just use the same kind of steps that we've already seen. So I'll say turn off. Excuse me. You'll see here that I can edit the tag position. So that means I can actually move the tag in space and place it where I want it to be. So there I want it kind of up and to the right from the pump there. And I can also add a leader line. So I can edit the line position. I can add one or more leader lines. And so here I can put a leader line on there. So I want it to point at the back of the pump there. And if it wasn't quite in the right place, I can also just come in and edit that again, and I can get it just where I want it. So I have that capability. I can, of course, come in and add additional step notes. So I can add photo notes. I can add audio, video, text notes. I can create a bookmark. So I can go to that same data book series, and I can find what page I want to bookmark in there. And so we add that bookmark note. Not sure why that's taking so long, and I don't want to wait because we're on a schedule here. So let me go back in my AR mode here. Author. Turn off and close. All right. So let's do turn off. And we'll edit that tag position. We'll add that line. Okay, and then we'll add our next step, which is to turn the valve. And we'll edit, we can leave that as a headspace marker, and we'll just add a new pen note here. So I wanted to show the new pen tool options on the iPad for authoring. So you can see that we have all the shapes available as we did before. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put a rectangular shape here. I'll make it green. And now you'll see the hints on the right there, so I can move that just using my finger on the screen. I can scale it. I can rotate it. And I can actually just put that in place where I want it. And then say, oh, I want it over the handle itself. And then I can say add, and now I have my pen note overlaid on top of that. Next, I'll just add a quick video note. And I'm going to use the camera here. And I'm going to use this little tripod, which is a great way to go. And I'm going to click record. I'll go ahead and churn that. Stop the recording and use that video. And so I've now added that, that pen note, and I've added the video note. So I'll go ahead and go back, and we'll say, let's save that, and we're done. So I now have my two-step procedure available. So I have my turn off and turn valve. Looks like I didn't save the turn off. So we'll just do that, and done. And now we've got that set. So that's editing on the device, and authoring on the device, I should say, or on the iPad. All right. So just want to talk through a few tips and tricks. Let me see if I can turn off my screen sharing so I can. So close that. Great. So some tips and tricks, particularly with authoring, there's you can access existing content on the device. So you saw me actually live record, so I use the camera, but I can also just access files that are available both on device or through any cloud storage that's linked to the device. As mentioned before, you can also use some of the editing tools that are just built in, which can be really, really handy. You saw the use of the tripod. So with the iPad, it's often helpful, like in that case where I needed to turn that valve, it's really helpful to use a tripod with an attachment for the iPad. The fidelity of the videos and the photos are incredible with the iPad. It has a great camera, and so you really get top quality content when you use that. If you are using the camera on the device, just one tip I like to point out is it's easiest for me if I keep the camera up and to the right, and also, remember to kind of keep your finger out of the way. Just basic photography advice, I guess. But if you have it down and to the right like this, then oftentimes your hand is covering it. So that's why it's a little easier to have it up and to the left. I'm using the iPad Pro 11 here, but Manifest works with any ARKit enabled iPad. So you can use the Mini, you can use the Air, you can use the Pro, of course, and any other iPad. I like to use the keyboard as well for text input. So I personally find this a handy addition. Not required, of course, you can use the digital keyboard, but the mechanical keyboard is helpful for some. I mentioned and showed the realign function. So the iPad tracking isn't as good as the head-mounted devices in many instances. It works outside, which is great, but you may need to use that realign function and or use alignment tags. So if you have a very large area, you may want to insert alignment tags into your procedure so that the iPad can realign at different locations. If you get too far from that original scan, then you might see some drift. Excuse me. Another point is, let's see, I talked about the fact that you could work both in the web app and on the native app as well. I find that really handy, particularly again with kind of the keyboard setup. And then one point that I didn't outline here, but I did want to bring up is the 3D model support on the iPad is slightly different. So if you have content, if you have 3D model content that has multiple animations, for example, unfortunately, right now, the USDZ support on the iPad only supports one animation. So it's just a note, if you're going to be dependent on animated models and you want to use the iPad, the recommendation is to have a unique model for each animation as opposed to having embedded animations, at least until the the iPad OS supports multiple animations for an individual file. I mentioned also the GPS functionality that actually is unique to iPad. Head-mounted devices don't have GPS built in, and so that's something in addition that you can use on the iPad that's really helpful. And lastly, one of the great things about the iPad, in my opinion, is AR is there when you need it, but it's not necessary to run AR all the time. So with that, I'm going to stop talking now and open it up for Q&A with my fellow panelists.
Kelly, I'm going to direct this question to you. First question is, if I'm an existing Manifest customer, meaning I have a Manifest license, can I use that to access the iPad application? And how do I get the iPad application?
Great question. So the Manifest for iPad is in the App Store. So you can literally I recommend searching for tactile Manifest. If you type Manifest, you might get some TV show links or something like that. So if you put in tactile Manifest, you can download the app directly from the App Store. Any Manifest customer, anybody who has a Manifest license can access and use that license on any platform we support. So you can log into your browser, you can log into an iPad, you can log in on an Android device or any head-mounted device that we support. So the one caveat I'll just put out there is best practice is to log out of that device so you're not logged in at multiple devices at the same time. It's particularly problematic if you're editing a template because when you go and edit in author mode, you basically have kind of put a fence around that template so that other people can't edit it. And if you forget to kind of save it, then that can be a problem. So just best practices, make sure you log out before you log in on a different platform.
Next question, Kelly, I'll also direct this to you. Can I use iPad as a standalone solution, or do I have to have access to a head-mounted device?
You can absolutely use iPad as a standalone solution, particularly if you're working with physical equipment. You can do everything that you need to do. If you're working with digital twins, then it might be easier to use a head-mounted device to do some of the things over digital twin, but it's still possible on the iPad as well.
Great, thank you. The next question I'm going to direct to Maureen, our product manager, is can I use iPad in offline environments or with no connectivity?
You can. As an operator, you can take any jobs offline and use those offline. You can't today author on iPad offline.
Thanks. And last question here, John Tomazuka, I'm going to direct this one to you. Is iPad compatible with a Manifest on-premise installation or Docker?
Yes, it is. Some of the complexities around it are about the certificate. So assuming that you have a valid certificate on the on-prem instance, works just as it would in the hosted version. If you are using like a self-sign certificate, there is instruction on how to get that to work. It may just give you a warning sign or something like that, but other than that, it's an equivalent experience to using it on the public cloud version.
Great, thank you. Kelly, that's all the questions.
Okay, great. Well, as we close the session today, I want to thank you, and maybe I can advance to that slide. I want to thank you for taking the time. It's really great to have this engagement with our community, and we're excited to show off our advances and capabilities that we're enabling in the platform. And we love seeing the responses and getting feedback from our users who are using our product. And so we encourage you to reach out if you need any help. Give us your feedback on how we can do better, both in terms of the product development and also in terms of the content that we're providing to keep you up to speed and knowledgeable on the latest and greatest. So if you have any questions, please reach out to myself or Andrea. Please also fill out the survey here at the end. We, again, really value your feedback. And with that, I will conclude the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.